this is Raya and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the question, does God exist? Or with a little more definition, I'm asking, is there a non-contingent being that is responsible for the existence of the universe? Oh, sure, I'm going to get that all figured out in 10 minutes. In his introduction to a book on Socrates, the founder of the Moravian Church, Nicholas von Zinzendorf, wrote, "Religion can be grasped without the conclusions of reason. Otherwise, no one could have religion except a person of intelligence. So religion must be a matter which is able to be grasped through experience alone without any concepts. If this were not so, a mentally deficient person could not have the religion necessary for salvation." Zinzendorf identified something really critical about religion, and it points to the piety paradox. If God exists, then we would expect to find God through piety, maybe faith or repentance or something like that, but not through reason. After all, what is virtuous about being smart? But if God doesn't exist, then piety would be exactly the wrong way to go about it. We would need to find out through reason. If you choose the wrong method, you'll likely end up with the wrong answer. Where you start will determine where you end up and likely just confirm what you already thought was true, and that will make the alternate methodology appear that much more foolish. So the paradox is that if God exists, and I'm defining God here as a non-contingent being responsible for the existence of the universe, if God exists, then we would expect, based on Zinzendorf's observation, that by taking steps of piety, we would become more aware of God's existence. But on the other hand, if God does not exist, then we would expect that by relying on taking those steps of piety, that would lead us into more and more delusion. Wonderful. Okay, then my question is it possible to do both? Is there a way to maintain a rigorous skepticism towards God claims without rejecting piety? I think there is a way, but I think we're asking the wrong question. After all, how could I ever possibly know if there's a non-contingent being responsible for the existence of the universe? That would be a very comfortable belief for me, but I have no way of knowing how I could confirm that. We're actually really bad at intuiting the nature of the universe. For instance, we used to think that all the matter was made up of 4 elements, fire and air and earth and water. But then we developed scientific methods and we determined that it's actually made up of molecules and atoms and quarks. We used to think that the sky was a firmament over us and then there were things up above that. But we discovered that there's actually infinite space, and we look out and it goes much farther than we ever thought. We're really bad at determining the nature of the universe. Why would we ever think that that would be different when it comes to God claims? The area of philosophy that deals with how we know what we think we know is called epistemology. And epistemologically, I have no idea how we would confirm or deny a God claim. William Lane Craig, to my knowledge, has no mechanism for how we could falsify a belief in God. And Matt Dillahunty, a very outspoken atheist on the internet who I respect a lot, I've heard him say that he has no idea how we would confirm a God belief. So if these people that are way smarter than me have no idea how to do this, I know I'm not smart enough to know how we would confirm or deny a God claim. So by definition, since I now lack a belief in God, that makes me an atheist. That is, atheist, from the Greek meaning without, and theist from the Greek theos, meaning God. But I think the way through this is to talk about our God experiences phenomenologically, and that is to describe our experiences in as raw a form as we can, instead of thinking that they give us some kind of insight into the nature of the universe. Let's impose as little interpretation on them as we can. So instead of using our experiences to try to justify some metaphysical claim about God, why not instead explore whether or not those experiences that seem to be of a God are healthy or unhealthy? Do they make us more authentically human? Do they make us more loving, more concerned about justice, better towards one another? Or do they instead make us more judgmental and harsher towards those who don't think like we do? So I don't see any contradiction between referring to our God experiences phenomenologically and calling oneself an atheist. To me, this is actually the most responsible position that you can have. And it actually helps us through this paradox that it allows us, on the one hand, to remain intellectually rigorous and yet without giving up that piety at the same time. Can I be honest? This was actually a really hard video for me to make. I keep wondering, am I just being disingenuous? Am I trying to hold on to something that was a part of my old life? I invested 15 years as a fundamentalist, and am I just engaging in some form of the sunk cost fallacy? I keep thinking, if I'm wrong, then all this intellectual work actually seems pretty silly. It's like trying to figure out how the Force works in Star Wars. Sure, it might keep you really engaged, but don't think that you've figured out anything about the real world and how things actually work. Jesus said, "You shall know them by their fruits." And I still kind of dig that part. I think that there is some good fruit, or at least there can be, about a belief in God. Yes, it is absolutely open to abuse, but so is literally every other aspect of human existence. I just can't help but remember my life as a fundamentalist and how I saw people's lives get changed. How I saw them, well, sometimes they would just be weeping, and as they got their life right and decided, I'm sick of living a stupid, selfish life for myself that's hurtful to other people, and I'm going to start living for other people and doing the right thing. It was a message that was really changing the world. But it was a message that was ripped away from me the moment that I realized that the Bible is wrong on queer issues. And it is wrong on queer issues. And since then, I've come to realize it's wrong on a lot else as well. But I am just not prepared to give up on the idea that there is some kind of message of radical life transformation, because I have never found anything like that outside of a context of faith. So what is your experience with God talk or God claims or God experiences? Have you had a good experience, a positive experience, a negative experience, neutral? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation about this. I personally don't know where I'm going here. I started up my YouTube channel again because I need to sort this out for me. I don't know if I'm going to end up back in ministry again. Am I going to start this big gay church that I've talked about? I feel like there's a real need for it because our community has been so hurt by religion and by God talk that if there is a way through this, I just think it can be so beneficial. And yet at the same time, who knows, maybe it's all a load of crap. I don't know. That's all I have for today. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.